Okay.
Of disarray and incongruity. And that would,
Let's
of course,
look
be
at
the
this.
fact that
Let's see if I remember this.
Abi bought a house. Now, don't get too excited. It's an expensive house. It is at $2.74 million. However, that is in West Hollywood dollars. And also, you have to live in Los Angeles to be in the house, which is, whew, okay? Hey, listen, if you want, I can sell you plots of land on Mercury, you know? I mean, hey, you can get, land is cheap out there. They're practically giving it away, all right? Anyway,
I mean, it's weird that he's acting like LA isn't a cool place to be in for a lot of people.
He bought this house, okay? It's a shiny house. It's very nice. It's certainly nicer than any house I've ever lived in. And some people are mad at him about this. Now, before I get into this, I want to make a couple of things clear because I'm in an unfortunate position where me expressing values I've held for years are going to get me accused of simping to Hasan to try to leech his audience. Which, to be clear, and I want to front this, yes, every time I mention Hasan on stream, I'm hoping his audience finds the video and subs to me and gives me money. To be totally clear, that is the case. But also, this is something that I believe
I'm relating it to
vocally
the House claims because it has correlation with the perspective philosophy claims.
Okay, so anyway, people got mad about this, okay? Like, mad. And you know what they got mad about, right? I mean, you all know what they got mad about. I thought you hated the rich, but now your house is big. Why don't you live your principles and donate all of your money to charity? Stuff like that, right? And so on and so on. And these are criticisms that should be really familiar to you because they're the same criticisms that Bernie Sanders got. Remember, 3 houses Bernie Sanders, millionaire Bernie Sanders? Bernie Sanders wants to make life better for every American. But I can't help but notice that the 500-year-old senator who sold a best-selling book has a lot of money. You know? Remember that time AOC was in a nice dress and it was like rented for a photo shoot in a magazine? Remember that? And like conservatives were like, curious, you want to tax people, but you're wearing an expensive dress. It's like, oh my God. Look, these criticisms come from 2 places, okay? From one place, they come from, like, bad faith liberals, okay? They're people who dislike socialists, but find our arguments unassailable and our appearances, you know, just beyond reproach. So they come up with bad faith, vaguely gesturing at imagined hypocrisy arguments
when you
because they just don't like, either because if you're running against them in a presidential election, then you have that.
Blame.
If you just don't like them, you don't like them. Arguments from hypocrisy are always really, really weak by, like, default, unless the hypocrisy that you're underlining meaningfully, like, destroys the concept that's being delivered. So let me give you an example, okay? If a person says, obesity is an epidemic and we should probably eat healthier, but they are themselves fat, does pointing out their fat really address the argument? Not really. I mean, you can if you want to be mean. I mean, it's a strategy, but it doesn't, like, address the argument, you know? But let's say that you are talking with your significant other, and you say, this house has been so messy. It's so messy around here.
How about we address the viability for people to live in an environment in which they actively advocate for themselves being less comfortable in order to expedite their political goals, i.e. through strikes, general strikes. Let's take Frito-Lay, for example. These individuals were less comfortable, meaning that they were in a economically contentious position in which they had to actively go out of their way to make themselves vulnerable to their employers and potential future employers as well, because future employers may not be so kind to them about hiring them based on their potential to strike. What does it say about our viability as an individual actor who is propagating the message that we ought to participate in general strikes or protests or what have you, if they are so unwilling to be uncomfortable that they buy a $3 million house? Do you think that individual could maybe be like in line with like an idea that like the version of hypocrisy that is like, hey, you know what? Affordable housing is a real problem, and what's perpetuating that is large suburban swaths of suburban housing proceeds to buy a large suburban house. Do you think that like maybe could perpetuate the idea that like, hey, this isn't as easy as it is, even if you have a bunch of money, and then that could be worthy of criticism? I don't know. That's where I'm at with this. Like, listen, why would I go out on a strike and make myself uncomfortable if everybody that I look up to in the political sphere is unwilling to make themselves even slightly less comfortable? They all got to live in the most lavish places, in the most padded communities, and shit like that. That's where I'm at.
We should clean it up more, okay? So here's what we need to do, okay? You should clean up Monday through Sunday, and I'll clean up when I can. And now, the argument that you could make is that the hypocritical distribution of assigned work is undermining the validity of the argument, which is that they should both contribute to cleaning the house. Does that make sense? Maybe a little bit of an inarticulate argument, but the point is that hypocrisy doesn't always destroy an argument. In fact, it often doesn't. Sometimes it does, but it often doesn't. But the thing is, in this case, this isn't even hypocrisy. I don't know how many times I have to repeat this, but socialists don't usually say stuff like, you can't own a home. It's immoral to own a home. If you have money, you should donate all of it. Certainly there are some
I don't
people who say
disagree with this just from socialism.
Usually the argument socialists have is that we should tax people more. There should be wealth taxes and inheritance taxes, and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And as I understand it, to my knowledge, Hasan pays his taxes. So, you know, there's this debate bro obsession in some communities with addressing hypocrisy over the actual underlying worth of what's happening. Because from a consequentialist perspective, Hasan's not really doing any harm in the world, but there are some people who are more obsessed with the idea of holding people to account, you know? Like, I'll give you an example. A community of people who think that it's more acceptable for a person to eat meat if they don't believe animals have any moral worth than it is for a vegetarian to only eat eggs, cheese, and dairy if they do believe animals have any moral worth. In that case, you actually value people's consistency above the actual harm they do, which is an insane perspective. But some people actually do, at least selectively, go by that kind of overriding logic, which is a great way to avoid actually criticizing somebody. So you have those people. And then you have lefties who are attacking Hasan over this, which, to be fair, there are actually quite a lot of them. The left has always been a circular firing squad. And, man, I've talked about these people before with, like, ContraPoints. You know how ContraPoints makes, like, a lot of money off Patreon? And there are people who actually get mad over it? They're like, if you make that much money and you're a socialist, you should be doing something with it. And, hey, you're right. Hasan should be doing something if he's a socialist with that much in the way of wealth. Thankfully, he's the largest socialist streamer, to my knowledge, on Earth. So he made his money from the advocacy. Imagine if you're a socialist and you write a book and it's a pro-socialism book and you sell that book and you get rich selling that book and people get mad at you and say that because you got rich selling that book that you're somehow a hypocrite. It's like, you got rich from...
But the question is, what is he selling? What is his stream selling? That's what you got to ask yourself. What is he selling? I know. So Vaush, what Vaush is trying to say is, well, he's a socialist and he's advocating for socialism on his stream. What is he really advocating for? Because everything that I've seen Hasan advocate for is pretty much, hey, don't be racist, don't be a bigot, and that's socialism. That's all that he really calls for individuals to do. He doesn't call for direct action or mutual aid. There hasn't been any widespread evidence of this happening at all. He doesn't call, especially, for individuals to live their principles when it comes to their purchasing habits, unless they're a landlord. He doesn't call for, like, specific people to take specific jobs unless it's not being a cop, right? Or not owning capital, right? There's no call to action. There's no action. When you watch Hasan, it's just a guy who talks about socialism in a favorable light, and that's it. If that's his criteria, then so be it. I think when we're talking about, like, somebody actively perpetuating socialism, we have to talk about mutual aid, direct action. We have to talk about canvassing or what have you, donations to certain socialist organizations. This is what we talk about, right?
Lime popper im fino engage your mom.
Nice meme. That's what I think we have to, not just, like, honestly, just the aesthetics of socialism.
Advocating for the thing people are accusing you of. Yeah, it's very, very silly. I mean, it's really, really, really silly stuff.
Hasan actually explains
from the bad
that
faith
here.
liberal end of things, the reason why this type of criticism is so consistent is because it's a really, really good way of delegitimizing and hamstringing socialists without actually addressing their arguments. You delegitimize them by getting people to believe they're a hypocrite, which they're not. I mean, Bernie Sanders wasn't for owning free houses, but they got a lot of people believing that. And additionally, the implicit argument is that the only moral way to be a socialist is to be disempowered, which, no, I want everyone to be a socialist. And as long as we live in a world with millionaires and billionaires, mansions, cops and soldiers, politicians, and hedge fund managers, I want everyone to be a socialist, okay? Everyone, from every point, bottom to top. And I do not want people to be socialists and then think, oh, well, now I can't be successful because if I do, the circular firing squad on the left is going to tear me apart. No. Contra talked about this in Envy. This is a horribly counterproductive way to go about things. Can you imagine if people disregarded Marx because he hypocritically accepted the help of Engels, a factory owner? Can you imagine? Like, seriously, he was a factory owner. And by the way, Hasan makes his money streaming and YouTubing. Okay, this is like the least exploitative way of making money. Seriously, in terms of like wealth accrued relative to employees strangled, this is a relatively high ratio of moral profitability compared to Engels, the factory owner. Das Kapital, no, this was funded with bourgeois money. Like, come on, Jesus. Just I tell you, there are people who say, like, I wish there was one leftist billionaire to fund leftist projects. I say that, by the way. But when a lot of people say that, no, you don't. Because if there was a leftist billionaire, all you would do is shit talk them. All you would do is shit talk them. No, you're a leftist, and all you haven't donated every cent, and you live in a big house. Like,
Osprey, yeah. Listen, the right did this. They had people at the levels of right-wing politics start with the gaming channels, sometimes complain about SJWs. They didn't start with them becoming Nazis. Yeah, but those gaming channels talking about SJWs, their goal wasn't to get them down the alt-right pipeline, right? Neither is Hasan's goal. Hassan's goal isn't to have you stop watching Hassan, then go down to another person. That's not his goal. The pipeline is independent of Hassan. Hassan has never made it. In fact, Hassan has made it clear the opposite, that he thinks that he is doing good socialism or socialist political advocacy on Twitch, and he doesn't think that you should just go, oh, yeah, I'm watching Hassan, now I'm going to, I don't know, Vaush or Chapo Trap House. He thinks that, like, he is a good socialism political advocate. That's what he thinks. So I don't think you can give that kind of an argument. Doesn't matter if their goal was that, it's what happened. No, it does matter when it comes to the way that somebody guides their channel. You can't give Hassan the excuse, well, he's a part of a pipeline, he doesn't have to be a perfect example of socialism, if the way that he is running his channel is congruent with him not believing that he is the end of the, or with him believing that he is the rightful end of that pipeline, that he is a one-stop shop, that you can watch him and that you're going to get good socialist coverage. Right? He's not saying on his stream, by the way, guys, going over to twitch.tv/VaushVidya at the end of his stream, if you guys want, the real deal, I'm just a political Andy and I sometimes like talking about things. An example of this could be somebody like, honest to God, in many ways, somebody like me, right? I don't think I'm in a one-stop shop for politics at all. I think that you should go to more political Andys. I've called myself like a drama streamer or a, people say a react streamer is probably more apt, right? React streamer. And if you want politics, you should go to people like Dylan Burns, go to people like, Destiny, unironically. You should go to, these people that actually do research streams, data streams, Pisco. These people that actually look through details, Riley Grace Rochong, you should go to these people. IRI, yeah, these are the people that you go to for politics, right? You go to me if you like shooting the shit, you like watching some React Andy shit, and you also looking at some blood sports every once in a while. That just happens to be a part of politics. I rightfully admit that I'm not that. I want to try and be as politically intelligent and shit like that as possible, but, like, I don't want it that bad that I'm actually going to fucking do it, like some of the people that I actually, told you about. Dylan Burns is going as far as to reading certain papers and articles and things like that about foreign policy and yada and so forth. Destiny doing research streams on ivermectin claims and shit like this. I'm never gonna do this. You're never gonna see that on this fucking stream. All right, you're gonna see some normie ass fucking beta cuck watch some fucking people do some other shit. All right, I'm just a viewer. I'm just a watcher. I like watching this content. It's fun. It's entertaining. I like engaging in the ideas, and that's the end all be all. I'm not gonna be fucking writing any goddamn papers, reading any fucking papers. That's not me. And so, like, that is an example of something that Hassan doesn't do. Right? Hassan does say that, like, I'm not the biggest political Andy or anything like that, but the way that he presents himself absolutely is being knowledgeable or understanding these political issues to the point of weaponizing his platform against dissenters of that political opinion, right? Or what have you. There's been multiple times where I've just said, like, yeah, I can't argue X, Y, and Z point because of my lack of knowledge on X, Y, and Z. Reading critique of pure reason. I don't know what that is. I didn't say he was without flaw. I think he should do those things, but you can be a part of a pipeline without intending to be.
I feel
Osprey.
Just meme and cream adjacent to politics without trying to blow smoke up my ass. Thanks for being a fucking normal person. Keep it up, brosif.
Appreciate it. Well, Osprey, the reason why I'm pushing back against you is because you're not saying that he's just being a moral person. The pushback that you're getting from people in my chat is that you're running what they consider to be, and honestly what I consider to be, apologia for
like this
Hassan.
Stream because of Vu.
Nice. Apologia for Hassan. And the reason why, at least I argue that you're running some kind of apologia, is you can't just say, well, he doesn't have to be somebody that does X, Y, and Z. He's a part of a pipeline. One, he does not present himself as a part of the pipeline, right? And two, he actively goes out of his way to not present himself as a pipeline. He goes out of his way to say these are good takes and to represent his takes as good and final on specific issues, so far as to condemn other individuals on specific grounds for running other ideas, saying that they're shills, they're grifters, or that they're clout chasers. Nice meme. Or what have you, for dissenting of his opposition or his opposing position, i.e., not only implying but explicitly, overtly saying that he has a final or conclusive position on that given thing. There isn't a big thing that says that, like, hey, you know what? I'm a dumb fuck. I know nothing about politics. He likes to present himself as somebody who is knowledgeable about politics and what have you. And you can't just hand wave all of these criticisms because he's a part of a pipeline. That's not how it works. The criticism is valid of somebody a part of a pipeline, and you comparing it to a guy that's just a gamer who is also anti-SJW? No. The guy who's a gamer who's anti-SJW is just venting. That's all that they're doing. They're just venting that fucking cringe. If you happen to go from that anti-SJW to the alt-right pipeline, it is what it is. I wouldn't blame that gamer for running that pipeline like I wouldn't blame any of the people that go to a Hassan stream and then become a tanky, right? Because Hassan is pretty outspokenly anti-tanky and yada and so forth, right?
They would never do it. Yeah, like Sake Tanuki, you know, the bane of the broader online socialist community's existence. They would tear this person limb from limb.
Yeah, and it's also more the YouTube algorithm that, like, does this. To be honest, Hassan platforming other leftists led to Mike from PA, so that is true.
We would never get anything done. Okay, hold on, real quick. I can see it in chat. I'm not attacking Hassan for having money, but I mean, it's a $3 million house. Does it really have to be a $3 million house? No, but he wanted one. I don't care. At some point, it's just fucked up to spend so much money on something like this. No,
Cheer 100, cheer 100. We aren't hypocrites. We socialists don't think it's bad for Hassan to be rich. We believe it's bad to be richer than Hassan, especially if they aren't socialist.
Of money on houses to live in is not the backbone of the exploitation of the capitalist economy. You're individualizing and personalizing the problems with capitalism. The problems with capitalism aren't the fact that wealthy people exist or that there are large houses and realtors who sell them. Those things aren't the metric that makes the system exploitative. It's a horrible, bastardized, incestuous relationship between all the intertwined systems of political and economic power that guarantee more political power to the wealthy, and then reify and reinforce systems that privilege the wealthy and allow them to accrue further wealth at the expense of the rest of the people. But that has nothing to do with whether or not a person who's already wealthy buys a big house. That's just, they're not, these just aren't connected in my mind, you know? Or if you want to do a trade-off, $3 million house, but also Hassan reaches millions of people every week with socialist messaging. I don't know. I mean, you can do the math on that if you want, but that seems like a favorable trade to me. Now, that's not to say that it's not good for people to be as benevolent and generous and philanthropic with their money as possible. But I don't think that that's a hypocritical argument. Like, everyone should be that way, not socialists especially. Like, if you hold
this is what I was talking about. Listen to this bit.
Standard which is different, there will be people who don't meet that standard who will be disinclined from being invested in socialist arguments because they know that even though their behavior hasn't changed, the way they're judged will be. Even if their behavior improves, the way they're treated will go down, which to me just seems highly counterproductive. My recommendation on this is exactly the same as it has always been. If you want to encourage left-leaning, powerful people to do good stuff with their money, do so. But do not do so in this bitter, half-assed, facile attempt at accusing them of hypocrisy. Just be, like, reasonable about, hey, I think it'd be nice if we did more charity. I think it'd be nice if we did this. I think it'd be nice if we did that. Just be reasonable about it. But it's so obvious how spite-driven a lot of this behavior is. Because
So, I want to re-go over this, because this is what I was talking about. This is the whole reason why we watched this. Listen to how he talks about the moral responsibility that you hold as a socialist in comparison to other people.
That standard who will be disinclined from how one should be that way. Not social as possible. But I don't think that that's a hypocritical argument. Like, everyone should be that way. Not socialists especially. Like, if you hold socialists...
Cheer 100, big idea. What if Hassan and Bezos reverse the roles?
Nice.
...in power, to a standard which is different, there will be people who don't meet that standard who will be disinclined from being invested in socialist arguments because they know that even though their behavior hasn't changed, the way they're judged will be. Even if their behavior improves, the way they're treated will go down. Which to me just seems highly counterproductive.
So what he's saying is that, let's say Bezos becomes socialist, right? He's going to get treated worse because of his hypocrisy and having to live beholden to a set of principles or guidelines that are no longer...
Yet you participate in society. Curious.
Nice meme. That specifically adhere to socialists only in comparison to capitalists. That will de-incentivize him to become a socialist, which is true. That is true. It'll de-incentivize him, but that's necessary. Because with knowledge of information comes responsibility for said information. We aren't kids, okay? If you acknowledge that, like, if you're Jeff Bezos and you acknowledge, like, the full socialist, like, meme that, like, any exploitation or any excess labor or shit like that is immoral to be extracting out of your employees, what you could be doing instead of running status quo like Vaush's prescription is to, well, somebody else would do it, so status quo is okay. You would be morally obligated to go give them better pay or to allow them to unionize or what have you. You have a moral obligation to treat them better than the way that it works under the market, because you have the information now that you cannot avoid, an informational hazard has occurred, where in which you now have the information that makes it so you can no longer escape the idea that you are being immoral, right? So, yeah. You have acquired a bit of information that has illuminated you to the idea that you are being immoral. You now can have that moral responsibility. You can't just go, well, you know what? It's politically convenient that conservatives don't have to live to all of these standards, so therefore I don't have to do. No, it's like, no, I can criticize conservatives for not doing these things, and the way that I do that is typically by criticizing their intelligence, because if they were to inquire that amount of information, they would incur that information hazard of then going through and be like, oh, fuck, the way that I've been living my life this entire time has actually been pretty fucking racist, right? And things like that, and then they now have to change. You can't go, imagine a world that Vaush wants to live in. I'm a conservative, right? I'm a conservative. I could be racist to a bunch of people, and then as soon as I acquire new information, oh shit, actually being racist or doing this shit is actually like racist and bad. Well, I don't have to change my behavior because that is like a new information that I am given, and I no longer have to operate or change my moral system based on new information. I'm no longer I'm not morally obligated to work under a moral system that other people did not adhere to. Or the example that we have here, Jeff Bezos, let's say Jeff Bezos watches a lot of Hasan, agrees that exploiting the capital class is like a really bad idea, and that's really shitty. Wow, that really fucking sucks.
If I'm not
okay,
racist,
well, I don't
someone
care.
else will be.
Yeah, I just don't care. I mean, because I have no moral obligation to be set at a higher standard due to this new information I got from Hasanabi. So all I'm going to do is just continue on with my day the way that I was. We have to do it based off of new information.
My recommendation on this is exactly the same as it has always been. If you want to encourage left-leaning, powerful people to do good stuff with their money, do so. But do not do so in this bitter, half-assed, facile attempt at accusing them of hypocrisy. Just be, like, reasonable about, hey, I think it'd be nice if we did more charity. I think it'd be nice if we did this.
And I wanted to, here, let's make sure that he doesn't talk more about it.
But it's so obvious how spite-driven a lot of this behavior is, because it's not Hasan's income has been a consistent thing. You all knew he made millions a year, right? You can do the math on how many subs he gets. It's not like a hidden thing. He was always rich. I mean, it was known. But now the hate comes? Like, this is clearly not, like, a matter of holding people to a consistent standard of behavior, and more so a matter of, I don't like
So
opulence.
I also want to state something here where he's like, most of these people, like, you guys know, here, I'll just redo it. I don't have to paraphrase
I
him.
think it'd be nice if we did more charity. I think it'd be nice if we did this. I think it'd be nice if we did that. Just be reasonable about it. But it's so obvious how spite-driven a lot of this behavior is, because it's not Hasan's income has been a consistent thing. You all knew he made millions a year, right? You can do the math on how many subs he gets. It's not like a hidden thing.
It's not like a hidden thing. He's talking about how much money he makes, but the issue is, this is kind of a hidden thing. And I'm not saying because he doesn't give us his W-2, but I'm saying because of the way that he treated specifically, I don't have the exact, like, clip of it. When Hasan was reacting to Tim Pool talk about the house, he said that Tim Pool was overestimating how much money Hasan makes from subs. From his channel. When literally the amount of money that Tim Pool said that Hasan makes, Hasan almost makes in subs alone. And so there's just no way that he's wrong. I don't know where it is. This is like a 50-minute VOD. It would take way too long to scrub through.
Something that I desperately tried to fucking hide. Fucking boasted, dude.
To it. But let's talk about socialism, personal wealth, and what's boasted about it.
Did he boasted at the article? I'm not.
Maybe I could find it.
I will just tell you this is wrong. I'm not here to like drag Hasan in any way. No.
Yes. No. I don't believe that he has.
I think I actually found it right away, which is pretty interesting.
This tremendous respect for my hard work. But yes, no, I don't make 300 to 400K a year.
Work, and he's allowed to have his political opinions. I got no issue. Actually, I agree with him on a lot of his political opinions. He makes, I would estimate, probably 300 to 400,000 per month, not per year. Per
okay, it's overshooting it a little bit, but okay.
Month. And
it's not. So we can literally run the numbers, right? And we did. If you take 50,000 subs right now at a 70-30 split, you get roughly, I think it was 2.1 million from subs alone. This assumes every single last one of his subs, every single last one of them, are a 50-50, tier 1 sub, which they aren't. But for the sake of argument, we could do it. Every single last one, he makes 2.1 million. That's just subs, not bits, not donos, not ads, not sponsorships, not bounties, nothing else, nothing else. 2.1 million. That's to start. 2.1 million from that shit. And let me double check the numbers. I can double check the numbers.
Unwavering purpose.
And keep in mind, Tim Pool clarifies this is before taxes, not after taxes, because I know what somebody's saying. Well, what if he talks about after taxes? And that would be a valid critique. And maybe I misheard. Maybe he does say it, but I swear I watched this twice. We can do this, right? 50,000 times 2.5. $125,000 a month. Oh, no, I don't want to do that. Times 12. Or sorry, no, I fucked this up. So it's 50,000 subs. Boom. There you go. Times the 70/30, which would be, oh yeah, so it's times 5 divided by, or sorry, not divided by, times, equals $175,000 a month at the 70/30 split, which he has. Everybody at his size has it. Times 12. Yeah, exactly 2.1 million. So 2.1 million per year from subs alone, 2.1 million. All right? And now all you need to do is get, what is this, $1 million more dollars from ads, donos, bits, sponsorships, and bounties. All right? And if you don't think that he could get 1 million, half of his sub money from that, you're delusional. And I can prove it to you in multiple different ways. One, the new ad contract he is under. The new ad contract that he is under, for most people, massively propelled their income. Not their ad income, but their income overall. Hafu cited as saying it tripled her total earnings from Twitch. Her total earnings from Twitch, not her ad earnings, her total earnings from Twitch. It tripled all of it. All of it, right? Granted, she is taking roughly 1/5 or 1/6 of the ad rate that Hassan is, meaning she runs like 5 or 6 times more ads. So you'd probably do 1/5 to 1/6 of that in realistic relation. But also something you need to keep in mind is the rate or the amount of money that Hassan could get for that one ad would be distinctly higher, given that he has probably like 6 times, 7 times the viewership. And that's how ads work, right? This is the reason why I don't have access to this. And you would have, even in low estimates, you would say at the very bare minimum, he would be making 600. So like I don't want to allude to stuff, but without knowing the TOS specific, I know that he is making hundreds of thousands of dollars a year off of ads at bare minimum. And I don't want to allude to stuff without like looking to the TOS first. So I got to talk to some people about whether or not I can talk about the things that I know. But just based off of rates that I have seen from other smaller streamers, I know that he's like in adjusting for the 5 viewer Andy ad rates, which he does not have a 5 viewer ad rate CPM. Then I know he's making hundreds of thousands of dollars a year off of ads alone, let alone the ad contract that he has now argued for, which has tripled other people's salaries, again adjusted for 1/5 to 1/6 the shit. He's making at least 500,000 off of ads alone. I would say that wouldn't surprise me at all, at least in that range. We can boil it down to even 200 if we'd like. 200,000. And still what we have then is donos, bits, sponsorships, and bounties that would only need to make up $800,000. And if you think it's any less than that, congratulations, you bought into propaganda. And in fact, you can look up right now on YouTube, which we might, if I have people dissenting opinion right here. We can look it up right now that all other streamers don't seem to fall into that category. So for anybody who also is unfamiliar, I went on John Zerka's stream to just show how this works, right? John Zerka had me on the stream, and he was like, like these people, like people are horrible at guessing how much money people make. And I'm like, yeah, people seem really bad with it on Twitch. And then he was like, how much money do you think I would make? And I guessed it almost perfectly on the first time. And the reason why is because as a general rule, what I do and what is a commonality is you take what they earn from subs and you usually double it and sprinkle on a little bit more. That's usually what most people earn, right? That's usually what it is. You double what they make from subs and you sprinkle on a little bit more. That's usually what people are earning. Obviously, it can depend on the criteria or what have you, right? All I'm saying is you're fucking delusional if you think this man is not making $300,000 per month. You're fucking delusional.
That's just based off of his YouTube numbers.
That's also wrong. Both of those are wrong.
If he runs ads on his YouTube, I checked his YouTube channel. I didn't see ads. But based on what people have said about his Twitch stream, having 1.5 million subs, streaming for 10 hours a day, pretty sure the dude's making a cool $3-4 million a year. He probably pays 50 to 60% in taxes. We'll talk about that too. They say the 30-year-old's home allegedly contains 5 bedrooms and 5.5 bathrooms in West Hollywood. The 3,800 square foot. Wait,
how many subs is he? Is he actually a 1 million sub Andy? No, he isn't. Wait, where the hell did he get this 1 million sub number from?
House is described as having a Mediterranean style of architecture and was built in 2014. Since the announcement of
followers, did he say? Yeah, he meant followers. Oh God.
Hasanabi's home, many Twitter users have commented on the extravagance of the purchase. However, YouTuber...
Yeah, so he's taking the YouTube terminology of subscriber and applying it to Twitch. I see.
Thank you for the ice cream recipe.
Double and sprinkle. That's the general rule, and you will find that most people... Like, we can look at other streamers' ad rev and find out. Maybe all his YouTube channels combined. So I don't know if he runs any other YouTube channel than this. So I just do this because I know this is his YouTube channel. This is the only YouTube channel that I talk about. Like, I don't know if he runs the other ones. But this YouTube channel is making a fuck ton of money. Like, we ran through the shit, and we can calculate that this YouTube channel is probably making in the realm of, roughly speaking, $600,000 a year, $400,000 a year. Yeah, like very surprisingly, like would not. Let's be generous. It's probably earning in the range of about $290,000 to $275,000 a year. This assumes he gets no ads. Absolutely no ad money on any of his videos. And like that's probably where it is. And the reason why I said this is I did it yesterday with the Graham Stephan show guy. Money from YouTube. Like we ran the calculations. With this shit. And here he talks about his CPMs. He talks about how much certain money he makes from certain channels and shit like this. Yeah. So all of these things wouldn't surprise me. But yeah.
Klein shared his appreciation and support of Piker's home.
So, sorry, I brought this up because I believe this is a deliberate attempt from Hasan to hide how much money that he makes. I think this is pretty clear, cut, and dry. I think I've stated a pretty clear case that he easily makes $300,000 a month now. Now, the only good faith interpretation I could give him is one that I believe is not worthy that he can actually do, which is Tim Pool is using Hasan's current metrics. He's using his current follower count, sub count, view count, and trying to establish how much money Hasan would make given those current metrics. But Hasan, in order to make this not the case, would have to be using his last year metrics, saying, I don't make $300,000 a month. He's overshooting it, but he's using the metrics that he's had for the last year, which have not been in line with the metrics that he's had, that he has now, or that he's had even recently, right? Because he's been on a steady growth curve. And that's the only good faith interpretation I could give him, and I don't think that's good faith. Because, again, this would be, in my opinion, him just trying to intentionally hide this shit when Tim Pool is clearly talking about his current metrics. When you're talking about the current metrics, yes, the projections, he is projected to make easily $300,000 a month. It wouldn't surprise me if he makes 400 or even 500. But 500 would be very bold, but it wouldn't surprise me. Yeah, what would surprise me would be like 600 or 700. That would be like crazy if he was making that much money. But yeah.
Always rich. I mean,
last year, much better with the election. No, he had that one spot with the election for sure. But we're talking about last year metrics over the integrity of the entire year. And those are generally not going to be as good as this entire year.
it was known. But now the hate comes? Like, this is clearly not, like, a matter of holding people to a consistent standard of behavior, and more so a matter of, I don't like opulence in the hands of people on the left. And I just don't think that's a good argument. I want to be really clear so everyone knows, okay? While I am nowhere near as wealthy as Hassan is, okay? If I was, yeah, I would probably buy a nice big house too. Because
this shit.
It would be shiny, and I would want it. And you can
yeah, this is what I'm talking about. The culture that we perpetuate and the kind of this is what I mean. Like, if we just teach what example are we setting? What example are we setting? That, you know what? Hey, let's do the J-Reg meme, guys. Hey, I'm a socialist. I spend no money or advocate for anybody in any way with any of my money. But like, hey, I'm like living in a mansion. I'm a multimillionaire, and I just sit in my chair all day and talk about politics. What example are you setting for the people that follow you? You know what example you're setting? All I got to do is be a white kid, sit in my fucking chair, and post on Twitter, and then I'm just like Hassan, because that's all he does. That's all he does. Except he does it on his stream to a lot more people. Do you think that the other people watching him even have access to be able to do that? So what example are you setting? The example that you're setting is, I got to complain about capitalism. I got to complain about landlords. I got to complain about this. I got to complain about that and watch a bunch of YouTube videos. That's the example you're setting. You don't have to do anything more. Why? Because Papa Hassan doesn't do it. I don't have to do anything more. Why? Because I can't really throw Vaush in here perfectly. He does donate to charity. Shout out to his recent stream for Planned Parenthood. That shit was poggers. All right, that shit was really fucking cool. I can't throw Hassan in the same bus I can't throw Vaush into the same bus as I can with Hassan. I'm gonna be genuine. I'm not gonna just shit on the guy to shit on the guy. He's done great work with some of those charities, Planned Parenthood and the one with the Palestinian children. Shout out to that. But the example that we set for the general people, and I've said this before, for Hassan, is slacktivism. If you're a dude watching Hassan, all you think that you have to do is just maybe have a conversation with your family every once in a while about why capitalism is evil. That's it. You probably suck at debating, so you're probably going to get fucking bodied or what have you, because he doesn't actually show you how to research any of this information. He doesn't show you how to culminate this information or synthesize it in a really cool way. All he does is say, hey, this shit happens. And he doesn't even show you how to debate. He doesn't do debates anymore. He just preaches while reading an article or looking at a video. So he doesn't even teach you how to actually have these discussions with other people. So what he shows you how to do is react to videos. It just perpetuates slacktivism. That's all it is. Slacktivism at its best. And that's what's more important to me, is what statement does this set? Not necessarily any hypocrisy memes, but what precedent are we setting for people participating in socialism in the future? I'm not a fucking socialist. So, let this shit ride, let this shit burn to the ground and fucking die, okay? I'm ready for this shit to die, all right? Come on over to the Sockdem side, all right? There's plenty of room, and there's plenty of based people that will welcome you with open arms, all right? But, listen, they're allies at the end of the day, so. Smalls, thank you for the primer for 2 months.
Complain about that all you want, but your complaints...
But it's praxis, yes, of course.
Should probably be leveled not at hypocrisy, but rather at sort of the general enemy and inequality of our society. Because at no point over the course of my stream have I said it's immoral for rich people to buy big houses. It is immoral to buy big McMansions. That is immoral.
Wait, why?
Gigantic, empty houses that look like showrooms that you can buy up in northern Texas for $1.5 million that are roughly the size of a Walmart parking lot. That is immoral. But this is a West Hollywood house, so that's probably not necessarily an issue here. Yeah, that is morally wrong, to be clear. Those houses suck. Oh, yeah, I've been inside one once, and oh my, it really does feel like it really does feel like you're in a showroom or like a car, like, you know, like the car display rooms in the nice like car dealerships, you know. What makes it immoral? Because they're gross. Just don't. We're not getting into this right now. We're trying to be pointed with this. Do you not think class
does
interests
anybody
interfere
have
with socialist
coverage
politics?
of him
They
talking
can,
about
but if that's the case,
McMansions?
criticize the way it interferes with socialist politics. Now, here's something that you could criticize. Let me give you like an in. If you want to criticize Hassan for hypocrisy, here's what you should do, or any person on the left, okay? Let's say that you have a small streamer who says, yeah, tax the rich, cancel inheritance, capital gains tax, yeah, and all that, you know. And then that's what they believe, and they get to be a quite large streamer, and then they kind of soften up on all those positions, you know? Oh, we don't really need like that much higher taxes. Oh,
Yeah, like what about softening up on the ability to pay people for the labor that they provide you? That so far, and I truly believe this, I think this is worthy of criticism for every single socialist that is on the platform. And I'll take this debate because I'm ready to be wrong. I think every single socialist on the platform that makes a substantial amount of money, I'm talking probably upwards of 150, 200K a year, is actively participating in hypocrisy that hurts socialism when they do not pay their mods and their editors. I think this is true. I think it's 100% true. As well as the people that do their emotes and what have you. I'm not necessarily saying you need to give them equity. I think rev share is necessary, and for some of these situations, 100%. But you have to at least pay them, and I will take that claim easily. I don't think you can be a socialist.
Say your chatters
Truly,
for weird.
I truly do not believe that you can be a socialist at the moment and not pay these people because they're doing labor for you. I don't believe that you can, unless you just believe that not all labor is equal, or it's not really labor if they like you or they admire you or what have you, of which I could have that argument, but no.
real estate taxes are fine where they are, really. Or actually, you know, in the neighborhood where I'm in, they're kind of, now that I think about it, I don't really think that, like...
What's a good rate for mods? I get paid by Rose Wrist to do his thumbnails. Wait, really? Wait, are you serious? You get paid by Rose Wrist to do their thumbnails? Yeah? All right, that's a VIP for me, buddy. Welcome. If you're lying to me, though, you're going to get banned. If you're lying to me, this is going to be I'm going to have a couple things to say to you. There you go. Check the disc. Nice. I'm sorry. I get paid by Rose Wrist to do his thumbnails, though rev share, and it's pretty good situation. So rev share, I would typically reserve for, like, this is why I say rev share isn't necessary, but I think that rev share is kind of like, it needs to be on the table if you're a socialist, because if you're a socialist, you believe that workers should own equity inside of their workplace, generally speaking. Like, right, this is the case. Technically, it just needs to be the socialization of the workplace. However, right, typically speaking, we're talking about Vaush, we're talking about Hassan, we're talking about Mike from PA, these people. They're talking about the democratic ownership of the workplace, right? What this means is equity. If you're a laborer, you get equity inside of your workplace. I don't expect this just because of the lack of pragmatism that comes with having equity as like a mod. What would equity as a mod even look like, right? So I think rev share is a pretty good system that Destiny seems to set up with. But then, like, when you're a thumbnail person, I don't know how rev share could work, how that could possibly, like, transpire. Also, I want to say, isn't it weird that a bunch of sock dims are paying, like, the people that do this shit, like thumbnails or emotes and shit like that, when socialists don't? Really weird. Even though, like, Rose Wrist is a really small streamer, makes what I imagine is very little off of his Twitch stream. Kind of weird that he's paying the people that do labor for him, and he's not a socialist. But socialists also make excuses about not doing. I don't know. It's kind of weird. It's kind of telling. But anyway, sorry, I'm really black-pilled on that position. I genuinely think social democrats are better people when it comes to actually paying people that do labor. I genuinely believe that position. Fight me on that. But anyway, I don't know. I don't know what a fair rate would be. Typically speaking, we're talking about smaller content creators. We're talking about people that I think it's generally what you can pay. So, like, that's what I try and do, right? That's what the relationship I have with my editor is what you realistically can pay. I'm starting to get to a point where I'm making enough money to live. I need to be seriously open to, like, paying everybody for, like, the labor that they provide me, and talking about what kind of amount of money that they could be offered for the labor that they provide me, right? I need to have those conversations, have those sit downs with my mods and things like that, and what have you, right? So Yeah, I'm at the point where like I need to seriously be having those conversations under the purview of I can no longer ignore them due to my financial capability to support myself. Previously, I could say I'm not making enough money, or Rose Risk, for example, could make the argument he's not making enough money, and that's fine.
100, maybe the socialists are actually capitalists, and the capitalists are the true socialists.
Maybe no. It's yeah, you know what I'm saying. Do most people pay mods? I don't think so. I was told Ludwig pays some of his mods. I know other people who pay mods personally. I know people who pay mods. Most people seem to pay mods for specific things or what have you. But yeah, I'm not even saying you need to pay mods a living wage. I'm not even saying that. Even though literally paying a mod a living wage, Hassan would not notice that money out of his bank account. So like as an example, 1 month of Hassan's income, he would take 10% of that away, and that's your entire year living wage. Median wage. That's your entire year. 10% of one of his months. Not even his entire year. 10% of 1 month of him streaming. There you go. And then you get yourself like your annual wage. Unreal. And he makes the excuse that he's not going to do it. Unreal. Absolutely unreal. Yeah, 3 days. 3 days of stream, and that's your yearly wage. And he's making excuses why he won't pay people. I'm not even telling people to pay them living wages. Just pay them something for their time. All right? They maybe they just want to hang out and they do like doing that shit. That doesn't matter. I want to set a precedent that I'm not just going to be taking people inside of my community who like watching my shit and then just get free labor out of them just because they like me. I think we have a weird correlation with labor where it's like, hey, if they like me and they're willing to do it, that means, hey, I'll just let them do it and not pay them to do it. No, you're a multi-fucking millionaire. Pay the person to do that shit. Show them, perpetuate the environment that if you have the means to be able to provide and somebody makes something cool for you or does something cool from you, like makes some art or something that they were willing to do it for free or moderate for you for free, just throw them a bone. Why the fuck not? It doesn't have to be $30,000. It could be fucking $100, $50, $20 for just hanging out and fucking around with the fuck arounds, you know? Something.
I don't really think that this is reasonable tax. I mean, when you do when behavior like that begins, please.
Should a socialist refuse to have a person work for them if they refuse to take money for their job? I don't. So personally,
Pay me Yazak. Pay me.
Nice meme. So personally, that gets into a really morally complex issue, right? If somebody's truly refusing, says, I will not work with you if you give me money, I think it's rather rare. But if they're saying, I will not work with you to give me money, I wouldn't force that person to have to work with somebody else. I wouldn't force somebody. The issue is people will use this in bad faith. And I already know that they will because I've seen it happen. They're in the case of Hassan, he never said that he wanted money. It's maybe we should inquire deeply whether or not an individual is participating in a market in which it's normalized for them to not ask for compensation for their work, and about how much money you make and whether or not you can compensate them for their labor. But if in the case of this person saying, no, I absolutely do not want money for my labor, and you like their labor and you think that they're the product that they're providing you is really cool, I don't think you should be forced to have to work with another person. No. But I know for a fact people are going to try and use this in bad faith and be like, well, they didn't really want to get paid and I'm not going to force them and shit like this. And what they really said in reality was hey, this is really cool stuff. I don't know. Maybe we could talk about some compensation for one of these emotes. And they're like, no, that's fine. This emote could be free. And they're like, okay, cool. I talked to them about it, and they were adamant that I not pay them. That's 100% what's going to fucking happen. But yeah, that's the reality of it. What about competitions and stuff like the Hassan banner controversy? So I think of the Hassan banner controversy, I personally would say that he doesn't necessarily have to compensate everybody that participates, but I 100% think that he should have paid the person that won. I think that's an easy give. You should pay the person who won and you use their banner. I think you should pay them, but I don't think you have to pay everybody that participates. Ham, thank you for the $5. Did you delete yesterday's VOD? I did. What would you consider a fair cut for a full-time mod? It depends on their participation. This is why I say it has to be negotiations. So one, they have to be there and they have to negotiate it with you. You have to establish the amount of time that they are reasonably going to be able to spend in the stream and accountability of how they're going to spend in the stream. And accountability becomes impossible because, like, what if one day nobody needs to be banned in your chat? Just nobody acts up. Like, how do you even know they're active? How do you even know that mod is there active watching the chat, right? And it's like, what if you have multiple mods there? Right, so it needs to be a conversation between you two and, like, maybe even all the mods there so that you can be transparent with the amount of money that people are being paid based on the hours and shit like that. Like, you need to be transparent about all that shit, but trust me, it's possible, okay? Greater feats have been, done before, okay?
He's criticized them for that, okay? That is valid criticism, but that's not because they're...
No, I don't think you need, like, a login transcript or anything like that. You just need accountability, and then let's say you do have objections. Let's say you have one mod that you've been paying for, like, 2 months, and that they've been there, and they've only banned, like, 2 people, and while you were the only one there, and you had to ban, like, fucking 800 people. I think you could go up to them and be like, hey, you're clearly not doing your fucking job, right? I had to ban them. But when you get multiple mods in there, it also becomes more complex. Like, you would need to look at the rate at which people are banned, and shit like that, and like maybe they're just really slow on the trigger finger or what have you, or maybe they're collaborating or what have you, so you just need to have a conversation about it. So yep.
Being rich, that's because their values have been corroded by their material interests, okay? Now, to my knowledge, what Hassan's doing here doesn't really conflict with anything that he said on stream, except for maybe like a bad faith misinterpretation of statements that he's made, like, fuck the rich, but then he's rich, and it's like...
actually being able to advocate to normalizing paying mod/editors properly would be a good socialist goal. I don't disagree with you. This is why I say I think that this is the one take that I think is, like, hypocritical that large socialist streamers do not participate in, because it's like, it is fundamental to socialism. They are providing you labor. Compensate them for said labor, right? And then always their go-to argument is, well, they like me, so they're willing to provide the labor for free. Cool. I don't care, right? I'm sorry, I don't fucking care. Because somebody likes you and is willing to give you labor for free doesn't mean that their labor isn't worth compensating for, when one of your fundamental principles is that extracting excess capital off of labor is immoral, right? Like, for me, if I wanted to, I'm a capitalist, I could make that fucking argument. Yeah, sure. Fuck it. They're my friend. They're willing to work for free. I don't fucking care, right? I'm just saying that I think we should hold ourselves to a higher standard. If you have the means to pay the people who provide you labor, right, just fucking pay them. Like, it's not like I'm telling you to pay them a living wage. Just fucking pay them something, Pay them fucking something.
Now you're rich. Like, okay, sure. Congratulations. I've said fuck white people. I'm white. I mean, what are you gonna do? Hassan has literally said he should be taxed more. Yeah, and I should be taxed more. By the way, I should be taxed more. He should be taxed more. We should both be taxed more. Please, we should both be taxed more. Absolutely. However, if I am to be taxed more, I would like it to be through income tax and not through the god-awful, what is it, FICA tax? What is it called? The self-employment tax that the employer pays 7.5% of, but if you're independent, you pay the whole 15%. That thing sucks, okay? Do it more through income tax. Pump that up, okay? Don't... Yeah, appropriately distribute the relationship between these different tax brackets. Increase capital gains tax. You know why? I don't have any stock. Do that, okay? I don't have any stock, so just pump up the capital gains tax just into the stratosphere. Make it 40%. I don't care. Okay. Anyway.
Fader, chill.
Long story short, this is super dumb, and stay mad, criticize policy, don't get mad that some socialists are successful.
That is kind of funny, though, Fader. You're getting to it. I'm a true socialist. I don't want you to pay me for my work. I want you to pay me for not working. That is kind of funny. It seems like these socialists are more ready to advocate that people who don't have a job get social benefits, which is based, but they're more willing to get people who don't have a job, don't do any labor, social benefits, than they are to literally pay the people that do work for them. Isn't that kind of weird? That is kind of weird, huh? It's kind of funny the way that works.
Seriously, okay? Like, it's really dumb, okay? Like, oh no, a big house in Hollywood that would have been bought by another wealthy person got bought by this wealthy person, and this wealthy person is one of the largest socialists online, but it's bad that they make money from being that, even though most of their money comes voluntarily and from ad revenue. It's just... I'm sure Hassan has said way dumber shit. Didn't Hassan recently, like, kind of defend the USSR's involvement in Afghanistan? That is infinitely more cancelable than anything. Yeah, that this
Maybe
is.
they're afraid being close to the USSR/China, etc., that had people jailed for not having a job. Maybe. Socialism is no house, yeah.
Okay, this is infinitely more
Okay.